Good afternoon, Facebook. Good afternoon. It's Dr. Dawn Psych MD, your most influential double boarded child and adult psychiatrist. I wanted to, first of all, pay homage to those who have been impacted by Hurricane Laura in Louisiana. My understanding is that 6 people perished, is the current count, and many homes destroyed, businesses destroyed. I mean, just with people's livelihood. And so I just want to definitely just pay homage to those who have lost a loved one or lost things that are valuable to you from these deadly natural disasters. My thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. I could not I could not do a live. I'm actually currently, ironically, on my vacation, and God has a sense of humor. But I could not come on here and talk about the significance on March on Washington that's happening right now today, 57 years later, 57th anniversary. And I'm not going to take too much of your time. And I know that many of you are aware of the history behind the significant event in America. But I wanted just to share some of my thoughts pertaining to the actual day. I was trying to get there. I actually tried my best to get there. I know some people that are there, and thanks for representing all of us that who wanted to be there, and also understand that I don't have to be at a place in order to pay homage or to even just vocalize my expressions and how I feel, how significant this day is. Hey, Dr. Kanisha. Hey, Claudine. How y'all doing? So, you know, it's an interesting day because my parents were raised in the South. My mom is from Birmingham, Alabama. My dad's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And so, of course, they grew up in the late 40s. They were born in late 40s and grew up, of course, in the 60s when a lot of civil unrest was happening in our country. They're the first generation to attend college on full scholarships. With that, they met at Dillard University. And, before my mom passed, I spoke a little bit about her journey because she never openly discussed it as a student on Dillard's campus, and even prior to that. It's interesting that many of our civil rights heroes were in their teenage years, and weren't even, late teens. A lot of them were in their teenage years and fighting the injustices in the streets and protesting and peaceful protest and getting hosed down. My mom actually was involved in many of the events where she was hosed down in the streets in Birmingham and, tried to get bitten by dogs and things of that nature. And I know she didn't tell me the fullness of what she experienced, but I have a great idea. And, the March on Washington today is it's significant. And, it's interesting that when this occurred, so we know that this occurred for social injustices as well as financial injustices against African Americans, jobs, labor, and just wanting to call America home, be citizens to where we grew up and were born and raised, and wanting the same rights as anyone else. And what's interesting is that movement, which you may not know, but many of my females out there know, is that there were women that actually made this movement happen. And many women that their organizations were not allowed to be involved. They were not allowed to be keynote speakers. They were not allowed to contribute in ways they wanted to contribute in, but they were in the background. And so, part of that, of course, was that unfathomable history of Black women making something like this event happen, which I'm proud of to be a part of that lineage and heritage. So I'm not going to go into the history, but I know that this is something that you can easily look on YouTube. I mean, it's live right now. You can read all about how significant it was. But I did want to mention, a couple of things. when Dr. Martin Luther King gave his infamous "I Have a Dream" speech, that speech he's given previous years. And I know so much about his life just because of my family background and them talking about him um, and getting to meet him and all these things. But the thing that I was not aware of until my parents and grandparents told me was that, this speech was improv. He's given this speech many times, but it was so powerful, so impactful, but it was impromptu in a sense. Like there were keynotes that he wanted to mention, and he actually had a different speech with a different focus, yet and still he delivered this speech, and it was powerful. I mean, the "I Have a Dream" speech is one of the infamous speeches that is recognized by every um, background, race, organization, individuals, families today. And many have recited that very speech for, significant church programs, competitions, you name it. And that speech, I mean, there's so many levels to that speech, so many meanings within that speech. And I know that it was said that Mahalia Jackson actually vocalized, "Hey, tell them about your dream." And that's when he just went on in an improv to moment and just powerfully delivered probably one of my favorite speeches I've ever heard a person deliver or even write. The man was a genius. He was a genius. Um, but that's probably something I know many people may not be aware of. Maybe so, maybe not. And I talked about Black women being behind the move and getting this done. And I think I wanted to mention one more thing. Of course, we knew that John Lewis, the most recent passing of John Lewis, good trouble. His speech was actually censored because it was considered to be too radical. And, it was interesting because they were debating of the powerful 6 men. They were debating who was going to deliver the last speech, the speech that was going to make that final impact of why they were there. And that's when Dr. King delivered the speech. But anyway, I just wanted to get on here just to show my gratitude for my ancestors, for my grandparents, my parents, all the people that have fought and died for our liberties, our rights, our justice, and to know that things are still going on in our country. Of the very matters that we're fighting for today, it just doesn't make sense to me. Never will make sense to me. 57 years later, we're still fighting the same fight in a different way of different things, but it's still the same fight. And, it just disheartens me that this is an ongoing civil battle that has to be fought within our society. It doesn't make sense. But I do want to encourage you all to stay positive, stay in movement, stay action. Let people hear your voice, share your stories. If you have a story that your grandma, great grandma told about this time, people need to hear it. The thing that people is difficult when you don't know a culture or a race. It's difficult to connect with them when you don't know their stories, when you think you know their stories, or you think because you've been told a story, but you didn't hear it from our voice, you didn't hear it from us. And I just encourage you all to share your stories. Share your personal stories, share the stories of your families. I think that's definitely important. And I think that definitely can connect with people who may not understand, may not know, may not necessarily be initially empathetic, but the prayers that they become open to hearing your story and to be respectful to that, to be understanding, empathetic, and also accepting of that. When I think about how can we overcome, how can we overcome these battles? I mean, we fight hard. We do what we can do for our families, our neighborhoods, our churches, our friends, and yet still is not enough. And that's not my message I'm going to leave with you, because I'm still positive. I'm still hopeful. Today, I'm thinking about those people who died for the right to freedom and the right to vocalize who they are and where they come from and what they're fighting for. And I just want to pay homage to them. Sometimes I don't think that we talk about our culture enough. African Americans, we don't sit around and understand our history, our family history, where we've come from, who in our family did what, and how were they impactful and part of this movement to get to where we are today. Now, I definitely don't, I do recognize that there have been some ways we've overcome, some battles we won when it comes to civil rights and injustices, but we still have a long way to go. A long way to go for our brothers and sisters who are shot in the street and just for the color of the skin they wear and they were born with. And I'll never understand that, but I will still continue the fight. So today I just want to pay homage to the people that fought and died for our liberties. And it's still important to vote. This vote is significant. It's important. It is life-changing. If you have children, you shouldn't even think twice about voting. You have to vote for their future, for the safety and the sanctity of their future. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your children, do it for your grandchildren. But please vote. Please express your right. Millions have died because of this. Don't get it twisted. They'll tell you a number. Millions have died because of this right. And so we have to take our responsibility and do what's right. Even if we don't believe that it will make a difference, it does make a difference. And so make sure that you can do whatever you can to get other people to vote, to take them to voting, to, offer your support, whatever you can. That's important, because we cannot continue to celebrate the days like this if we don't continue to take advantage and appreciate all these things that our community has done for us, and not do it, and not vote, and not speak about the injustices that are happening and all these things. We have to do it. We have to do it for them. So I'm done, but you all have a wonderful day. Stay focused, stay in action, and